Well, hi, Joriz. Many thanks for joining us. I can't imagine you've had much sleep on Sunday going into Monday.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing here.
But hopefully it was an enjoyable event. I know Mark enjoyed having you on the chat with him with Jerry. So
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Was honored to do it, and yeah, it was a great informative chat with Jerry there.
yeah, and it was nice
The other
because
ones as well.
yes, yeah, but it was great that people wouldn't realize, but that after we did the chat, Jerry stayed on for 20 minutes, just
Yeah,
chatting generally about the case, about some of the things that you couldn't really discuss in a live chat, but it's sort of in confidence, as it were. So that was really really interesting. So yeah, you were in a few of the chats as a sort of guest
yeah,
and
yeah. I'm
co-host.
running along as long as I could because because of the time there was an there was a I stayed until 1 o'clock or something. And I
Yeah.
really had to sleep, and when I woke up in the morning, I was like, oh, still going. Rep's channel. So I was like, okay. So I went in the chat, and he invited me there as well, which was really nice. So I went on there as well for the last one. Yeah, it was very
Yeah,
good.
it was excellent because he'd got a whole load of people in there that had actually hosted just just previously, wasn't there? There was Millbilly and Dr. Silkman, and then TikTok came in. There was yourself, and I've actually got a
Ali,
list.
I liked Ali
Ali,
being there as
yeah,
well. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a shame we never had a chance to do a Gay Gordons or a Strip the Willow or something like that. You know about this, do you? The Manitrock Rally House that we had in 2019. We had a party after the rally,
Oh yeah.
and things did get messy. I mean, we stayed up till 4:30 in the morning. There was the sunlight was just starting to come over Lake Michigan. Beautiful it was,
Yeah, yeah.
this little a shard of light over the lake, and the house that we were staying in was absolutely fantastic. But well, I certainly polished off plenty of booze, and I was doing sort of Cayley dances, Scottish dances with Denise Rainey and Ali, and Denise
Is there
videoed
any
it all.
footage of that?
There is, yes, on Denise's
Oh,
channel. Yeah, there's footage of it. It's quite bizarre because, 1 minute I'm sort of dancing with Ali, and because we're choosing music to play on the TV, they've got a TV with a big sort of sound system, and in
I should
between.
really repost that.
Oh no, thank you. Eunice had gone to bed a lot earlier. I mean, after the rally, after the rally in Manitowoc, outside the courthouse, we went across to the salvage yard where we had that photo opportunity of everybody with the banner. Um,
Yeah.
it was great. I actually brought Rick Marlowe along with me, so we had a chat to the salvage yard and back.
Oh yeah.
It's great chatting with him. Cool, cool, cool guy is Rick. Yeah, I always like chatting with him. Then we went to the Baymont, to the hotel where the party was, and Stacey and Rick did a few songs together. There's a lot of people there. Mark did did a bit of speaking. There was a raffle for a guitar, which I think Jamie Hart had donated, which was really good.
Oh
Um,
nice.
yep, I managed to go around and sort of basically speak to everybody, including Pete and Laurie. Dassey were there, so it was great. That was the first time I'd spoken to Pete. Um,
Oh yeah.
it was great to do that. And then about 9 o'clock, I headed back to the rally house, and then a lot of other people came along as well, and it was great. They all sort of they all started leaving. It was probably between 11, 12 o'clock. Um, but then there was the drunken diehards, myself and the dude and Ali
Yeah.
and Denise and Julie Pom Pom, and it's great fun.
Hardcore.
The only trouble is that the dude had arranged to be in Nina the next day, Sunday, at I think 11 o'clock. He was supposed to be in Nina.
Oh, All right.
And you don't realize how small a time frame there is. I actually woke up before he did, and he was gobsmacked because he couldn't understand why how I managed to get myself up. He thought I would be dead to the world, but no, I wasn't. We went off and went to the Eagle Nation cycles, which was good. But it's it was a great time. A bit like when you have the events like Keep Talking Till They're Walking, you've got all these people coming together. We've all got different opinions, and we're all very respectful of different opinions. Talking of opinions, I would like your thoughts on the tire tracks on the side of the road that
Yeah,
it's MK Universal.
Universal.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I really, really thought that was a good eye, and I always like it when people do that.
yeah.
Go into that kind of detail and find, well, have that thinking to do that. And yeah, of course, it can be whatever it is, and it can be the car, but it's not said that that
Oh,
is. But but it's a really good find. It was exactly the same location as where the mark was set.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, if it corroborates the whole story, that's another question. But by
Yeah,
itself, it was really good on point. Yeah.
yeah. I think it's just one of those things that sort of it doesn't act as a complete corroboration, but in conjunction with other things, with the
Yeah.
sort of the sort of what's the word I'm looking for? That there's a special word for it to do with the weight of the evidence or the amount of things that you look at. It's one of these other things that
Can possibly
yeah,
be. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's to me it's interesting, isn't it, that Kathleen Zellner took on this case. Was it January 2016? End of January
Yeah.
2016,
Yeah.
and she's investigated it now for over 5 years, and um, she's never come up with anything that makes Stephen Brendan look guilty. All she's ever done is come up with stuff that makes them look more and more innocent. But she was determined
Yep.
at the start, wasn't she, to find out exactly, what does Steve know? Even going to this brain fingerprinting, which, from what I've been able to gather, it's genuine. It's not junk science at all. It is very, very good science. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
dependent on the questions that you can ask to somebody, but you know, it is known to be accurate. This stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing is, in this investigation, I would say that she has narrowed in on certain people that some of them have kind of cleared their name with her, as it were, and some she's just going to go after more and more and more. And I suppose
Yeah.
one of those probably top of her list in terms of in the filings is Bobby Dassey.
Yeah.
I would suspect though it's like that very angry phone call between the Steve and Barb and Scott when
Yeah.
Steve says, well, I don't think it was mainly him. I think it was the other one. I mean, it's not difficult to work out who the other one is it?
No. No.
But
No.
but but you've got a sort of an issue with that, haven't you? And that you're thinking, well, what are your thoughts on Scott? Let's deal with him first of all.
Well, I think the whole testimony of them alibying each other on the road is so very thin. If we now, look at that, that's words only of two people independent from each other. But here we are with words only from Thomas Sawinski, and there's a whole debate about corroborating evidence that shows that it's actually happened. But there's nothing corroborating that they alibied each other on the road. You know that? I was like, okay, can you deep dive into that as well then? I mean, what are the double standards in that? I think.
Exactly. Yeah. It's paper thin, isn't it? Compared with the fact
Yeah.
that the sort of weight of the evidence, is building up
Yeah.
with this Thomas Sawinski fella. But as you pointed out, he's in the process of starting to date Barb. You wonder what would his motive be? and I think
Yeah.
I think that's always somewhere where you start off with, isn't it? You look at people's motives.
Yeah, I think so. Like, if you look at this case, well, if the motive is like the sexual part of it, I can't really see Scott because they are, you know,
Yeah,
dating and she's sleeping there every night and prison break. And no, I don't go into the further details after what happened after
yeah,
prison break. But, you know,
yeah,
I couldn't really see that as a motive from Scott's point of view, but it's hard to say what it is. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just grasping for can be anything.
yeah. I mean, very worrisome, isn't it? Uh, as soon as Steve was found guilty, Scott saying, this is the best day of my life,
Yeah,
and you're
that's
very bizarre. And when Brendan is found guilty, you know, he sat there with a smirk on his face.
yeah, seen that.
Now, some people when they're you know their smirk doesn't actually indicate how they're feeling. I realize that.
No, yeah,
Sometimes you just see the sort of bizarreness of it, and you end up doing something bizarre. I'm no expert on face analysis and
facial
expression
expressions.
analysis.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I don't think
it's also very hard because we really want to, you know, we want to see what we want to see, kind of thing.
that's
You know,
yes,
if you're
yes,
very much into Scott, you see like, oh, he's doing this on his face, and then at the right frame, he's just like, oh, it looks like a smirk. That's
yep,
possible. I'm not saying it's not a smirk, but
yep, yep. But I would say we also get a sense of the hatred towards Steve when he says, I'll
yeah,
bury him,
that's true.
and you've ruined my life, and you think,
Yeah,
"Hi."
that's afterwards in the phone call as well. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a big hatred towards Stephen Avery.
yeah, and I've often wondered if that's because had Brendan have been successful with his writ of habeas corpus, been released, exonerated, and then if he'd received a large payout, you know, I can only see at the beginning Brendan going and live with Bob, and and when Scott is quoted as saying, that when Brendan's out, I don't know who he's attributed to, whether it's to Brendan or to himself or both. When he says, he wouldn't have to work ever again in his life. Well,
Yeah,
when Brendan comes out, that's one of the things he's going to want to do, isn't it? To get a job, to get a wife and a family, and do all the
yeah.
things that he's been denied. So I find that quite bizarre that he'll never have to work again. Um,
What about Brendan though? I was wondering that the other day. If Brendan comes out, well, is there a wrongful conviction there, and with a payout, or I really know. No.
yeah, it's he has to be exonerated, doesn't he?
Yeah,
And
that's.
then a civil lawyer can pursue a claim. But I mean, even
But he ran
the
out of that option there. Basically, waiting for a pardon. Oh no. Well, who knows if Stephen Avery gets out, the whole thing's changed and other
yeah,
possibilities legally
yeah,
can come forward. I'm not an expert on that, but
yeah,
I can imagine that
yeah,
having some effect of it.
yeah. I mean, the thing is with both Bobby and Scott, what I don't see is their motive to frame Steve when he's about to become a very wealthy person, because from what I gather, Steve is a generous person, and really does like Bob's kids, and
Yeah,
Bob and Steve are very close, even even though they're there's all this shouting going on, they're still
yeah,
they're still
that,
brother and sister, they are,
yeah,
you can tell they're close, and we've got reports, haven't we, of Bob sometimes getting Steve to come and help out, trying to deal with Brendan, trying to get him in a car to go to a party and stuff like that,
exactly. Yeah, yeah. You could say the more they scream at each other, the closer they really are because they feel free to do so. You know.
Yes, yeah, 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 yeah. But obviously, we have to look at Bobby, because Bobby is the one that Kathleen Zellner, certainly in the motions,
Yeah,
she's going after him. Obviously Ryan Hilligus. that's a very interesting subject. I'm with you. The ones with the
Well,
motive.
it was before the motions. Oshioria did that at Johnson interview,
Mhm.
where she was really like pinned down on that DNA methylation thing. That the blood in the ref was of a young age, so a young cut. So that pointed out to me like, okay, then someone picked it up, and she's convinced that is Bobby picking it up from the sink.
Yeah, yeah. Although, do we know if he smokes? Because
Don't know.
again, Scott certainly does smoke.
Yeah,
We know that
true.
much. And yeah, let's have a think of some of the things that are suspicious about Bobby. The fact that he was the
Yeah.
state's star witness, and for me, he's clearly perjured himself when he's saying he slept all morning, got up about 2:30, saw Teresa arrive. When he left, car is still there, no sign of Teresa. And yet, he's told Brian later on in the week that it couldn't have been Steve because I saw Teresa leave.
Yeah.
So first of all, you've got this, this changing of the testimony, which you'd have to say that the investigators and the police are very, very good at doing, aren't they?
Yeah, they pressure them all into like aligning them for the Steve narrative. That's for sure.
Yep.
But I think the biggest one for Bobby is of course the CD, the suppressed CD.
Yep.
And from the alley point of view, they wanted to hide that evidence. So yeah, that's a Brady, but turning out to be a Denny. It's like,
yes. Well, absolutely. I mean, that was the big thing, wasn't it? You can tell that Dean and Jerry, they also think that it's Bobby and Scott that are the perpetrators. It's clear
yeah,
that they think that, but they weren't allowed to to pinpoint and to sort of accuse them of this because of
yeah,
this Denny restriction, and it was the motive thing that was the problem, wasn't it?
yeah,
That
yeah.
was it's a three-pronged thing. They didn't have the motive against Bobby, and yet that CD has provided, well, quite a lot of motive. And it for me, it wasn't just the fact that there were all these pornographic images and apparently images of mutilated bodies and all that kind of stuff. It was the fact,
Knife through skin. Yeah,
yeah, it was
drowned bodies.
yeah, it was the fact that there was this file, this folder that he put together of Steve, Teresa, and DNA, and the fact that
Yeah,
he used to refer to Teresa as Stephen's girlfriend.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That that's very
It's
bizarre.
possible that he's been monitoring because she's been there like 6 times before
Yeah,
that year. So but probably also at the same times that he was like not working at home, being able to see her as well. Because otherwise, if you never saw her, what would be the point?
yep, yep.
Yeah,
It's I mean that's pretty bizarre for me. You know calling her the girlfriend when in fact he's he, his Steve's fiance at that time is Jodie, isn't it?
yeah.
It's, and what do you make of this joke, this Mike Osmondson supposed joke that then Ken Kratz used at the trial? This could you help me hide a body? The fact that Bobby went along with that, and that to me is it's it's
The
damning.
question is who said it? Yeah,
Yes.
they
Yeah.
used it as a brand as Stephen ever said it, but
Yeah.
I highly doubt it.
Yep. And on one occasion they say that this conversation happened, after Teresa was found. Well, no,
Yeah,
it's Steve never made it back to the yard, did he? He never when he came back from Crivets, he went and stayed. I think it was at Earl's house, wasn't it? And then they arrested him. But he never, excuse me, he never got back on the property, did he?
No,
No.
no.
And this conversation apparently was can be dated back to the 3rd, which is the Thursday.
Yeah. And then again, that's words only as well. So that this is words
It is,
used
yeah.
in file, not corroborated anything at all,
Yeah.
But they lined that up perfectly for incriminating for Stephen. That's what
Absolutely.
I think.
Yep. Yep. Now, what do we make of these scratches on Bobby's back? It was interesting.
Now
Yes,
that
yes.
he was shirtless,
He must have been shirtless, and yet Bob's saying, it couldn't have been Bobby. Bobby's a really nice bloke, and he never takes his shirt off. and I'm thinking, how did he get those scratches on his back, which was supposedly by this puppy? And yet we've got Kathleen Zellner, an expert, that's actually said, no, those aren't scratches that would have been done by a puppy.
Yeah, well, then I trust the expert to be right on something.
Yeah.
I mean, whether that's really, I don't know, this goes a bit in my mind. Oh, that's like bite mark signs or whatever, but I really don't know how accurate that science would be.
Yeah. I mean,
but you can see the scratches on there. They can be taken. They were really wide apart.
Yeah.
For a nail to scratch in, but it's possible.
The other option would be, in planting the car up on the ridge, maybe he got scratched by a tree or something, or a bush or something. But what's interesting there, though, is that in Kathleen Zellner's recreation of what she thinks happened, basically they're suggesting that Teresa gets clunked straight away.
Yeah.
And then she's been hit with this blunt object. I mean,
that's the reenactment video at Cus Road, right?
Yeah.
You mean that where she got like whacked and then
the
blood? It would it explain the blood spatter? That's the question. That's not what she says, because that would be more motion in the blood spatter, because these were like dots on there,
Yeah. But I mean, if you've just bludgeoned somebody to death, how are you going to get scratches on your back from her fighting you off? And what? And I mean, why shoot them as well?
Yeah,
I'm just struggling to put this all together at the moment, and
I don't think they're from a struggle. Those scratches come. No.
I
mean, Bobby was a big guy. Teresa was not very big. Didn't look like, well, she would struggle, of course, if you had the chance. But yeah, if she was not expecting something, getting something out of her car, and then it happened, that would be not any struggle at all. She would have been whacked out unconscious in one go. So
yes, yeah,
there would be no scratching there.
Yep. But I mean, obviously, the way that the legal process goes is that by proving that Bobby clearly should have been considered as a Denny suspect.
Oh yeah.
Is the master plan really to then, as we say, to go after Scott, because that's the one that they really think is the.
Could be, yeah. If that whole testimony is now of alibying each other comes into play, and that might be, debunked for some reason at some point, that puts Scott somewhere else as well.
Yeah.
But we never know. That must be something that can be proven in court.
Yeah, it's
interesting if the theory is right about it, that the car was temporarily placed at the roundabout, which was very close to Scott's trailer back then.
I think we're both singing from the same hymn sheet when it comes to the ones with the motive, and the ones with the main sort of means and opportunity of causing the disappearance of Teresa, and then making sure that Stephen Avery gets convicted of this. Obviously the sheriff's department. I mean, Tom Kasurik was the sheriff of Manitrock for close on 20 years, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's well known that he had this. I don't use.
Opposition going on.
Well, yes, obviously that's come as
Yeah,
a huge shock to him, particularly as
yeah,
they tried to even suppress the 95 phone call, didn't they? They tried to hide that. Um, but we hear about the fact that Thomas Kasurik was well known for, if somebody did something wrong, say within the department, instead of sort of chastising them and giving them a bad report, he would sweep that under the carpet, because then he can call on a favor later on.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think there was a well, I don't think there was a whole article in John Farrak's book, The Wrecking Crew, where he talks about Thomas Kasurik and the sheriff's department. Have you ever had a chance to read that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Yeah, I bet you did.
yeah.
And did you see any of John Farrak when he was on with me for half an hour?
I did. Yeah, yeah,
He you know I thought it was brilliant what he said. He said, of all these people involved in this case, it's the finger of suspicion is pointing at Bobby and Scott Taddick. Now, would you like to go out for a beer with them? Would you choose to go out for the beer for them? No, I don't think so.
yeah.
I don't think so. Um,
Nope.
as I say, at the very least, we've clearly got perjury on behalf of Bobby, saying that he left the Rav was there, no sign of Teresa, when in fact he'd already, previous to the trial, he'd already told Brian.
Yeah,
It couldn't have been
that she
Steve.
left. Yeah.
It couldn't have been Steve. Um, and you realize, don't you, that the amount of pressure that they would have put on Bobby. Do you think that one of the things that helped was when they discovered what was on the computer?
Oh, definitely. That was leverage big time
Yeah,
because they zoomed right into him. I think it's very suspicious that they talk also with with Fassbender in the hallway. What is that all about? I
yeah,
mean, I think he's been coached really well
yeah, yeah,
to say what he's got to say in trial.
yeah. And I mean, for me, it's bizarre, because you even get, bless her, Dolores saying, when Bobby got up, that stuff wasn't nice to hear. And she says, and I thought that Bobby liked Steve,
Yeah,
which suggests that it must have been something quite big that they used as leverage against him.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Maybe they know, just like well, if you see like Kathleen is holding back her cards and then throwing it on the table, like we can also suspect that the state suppressed a few cards that they never lay on the table. So yeah, I'm quite convinced that that happened.
yeah. When I first started talking to Sheriff Herman, we, we got on quite well. It was quite pleasant to chat to. And it wasn't always making a murderer. Bizarrely, he said, I've checked you out, and I see that you're an accordionist. And I yeah, that's good. Yeah, he says, my mum plays the accordion. So sometimes it was stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
How are things doing? I once sent him some pictures of Scotland, and he said, yeah, Scotland looks beautiful. I must visit someday. I said, well, when you do, check me out, and I would, at the moment, I don't have much on Robert Herman to think that, he's actually, murdered
no,
anybody. Some people think he's as dodgy as anything, but, at the moment, and because of the chats that we had, um, you know, I'm going to give Robert the benefit of the doubt at the moment. But it was interesting
yeah,
what he said on one occasion. He stopped me and he said, look, Paul, and I just tell you something. Stephen Avery will die in prison. He will spend the rest of his life in prison. And I said, well, That's interesting, Robert, because I take that on sort of two levels. Number one, that could be something that you've simply been saying all these years. So, you've convinced yourself of that fact, and
Yeah,
you hope that to be the case. But I said the second point I would say is that is it a case of you've been given assurances higher up the food chain? Are there mechanisms, are there people in place that are going to protect the sheriff's department in the future? Your likes of your Judge Angie Sukovich. I mean, what are your thoughts on the fact that these cremains were handed back it was just literally days after the appeals court rejected Steve's appeal?
yeah, yeah. It was in the hands of Hepodian back then.
Yeah,
In 2011, well, first of all, they grasped not only human bones but also possible human bones. That to me said like, okay, they wanted to do as much as possible for the whatever would come out and would be available to test, give them away in any way. That was not like the only ones that possibly were to reach us as human. So that was very dodgy to me.
yeah,
And also the whole not sharing that information with the defense
yeah,
is a big one. I mean,
yeah.
Potion didn't get notified, nor did she get any ledger on it,
No,
because that was, coming to the public later. And then Kathleen got it.
yeah, yeah. But we know
Yeah,
that at the end of the year that Steve obviously appealed to the Supreme Court, the Wisconsin Supreme Court. For me, the timing of the handing back of these bones just after the Court of Appeals has rejected it suggests to me that they already know that the Wisconsin Supreme Court are not going to take Steve's case, or is it just an assumption, or is it an assumption that they're not going to take Steve's case? Therefore, this is going to be end of story, so we can do what we like with these bones, or is it, is
or
it
is it
just,
a risk? Is it
yeah,
a risk they feel and like, oh shit, got to do the, like they bobcatted the burn pit. Let's get rid of the evidence
mm,
for future testing.
yeah,
To me, that's what I think. I really they cleaned out what's possible exculpatory, basically.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I'm not going to keep you much longer. Thoughts on this? It was a great question. How long do you think the Court of Appeals will take to come to an opinion on this? And do you think they will remand it? And do you think there's a possibility that Angie is going to be forced to have an evidentiary hearing? What are your thoughts, Joriz?
Uh, yeah, that's a good one. In terms of,
By the way,
oh,
you've got 2 minutes.
oh, right.
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. No, I'm not. I'm not.
I wish I could. I
Yeah.
wish I could say like, oh, this is from the legal standpoint. This is the time limit the state would get. That was that. If there's one thing I would love to change there, of no, well, that that will be a benefit because this can take on forever like this. So, but on the other hand, I thought it's interesting that the state was pushing Kathleen to not stall any longer. So if you turn that around, they might be doing that. Okay, well, let's get a move on here. But with this new evidence coming on, there's or the corroborating facts that Kathleen sent them, they're probably gonna like, oh shit, maybe we should stall some longer. So what I hope is that within let's say 2 months we
Yeah.
have some of progress here.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, from what I can see, the Court of Appeals, as in Judge Paul J. Riley, has been pretty fair, I would say. Other than the fact that, and I mentioned this last night, I believe that he can put that it is ordered that this should happen, that this should happen, and that if he was to word it that, you know, it's not an option for you to think about this, look at this, and think about having an evidentiary hearing. You know, it is
Yeah.
ordered that there will be an evidentiary hearing. You know, because of the, you know, the sort of preponderance, the weight of the of this
Yeah.
case. You know, uh, I mean, for a case to be remanded back 3 times, some people, and I must admit, I was told this 3 or 4 years ago. You know, this is what's going to happen. This case is going to constantly go back and
Yeah.
forward between you know, the circuit and the Court of Appeals. You know,
There's a whole lot of spaghetti piling up.
yeah, but you know, it is ironic, isn't it? You know, you're saying about, you know, the state saying that, you know, Kathleen is dragging her heels, when in fact, you know, the one dragging her heels, what was it? She took something like 11 weeks. It was like it's like a page a week to in one of her decisions. You know, she took like nearly 3 months
Yeah.
to write it, and it's, for goodness sake, you know, that's, you know, and just to flatly say no,
Yeah.
just dragging it out.
Exactly. But also, you see that in 4 days the state had an answer.
Yeah.
You remember that it can't be that quick apparently
Yeah.
with the first motion she sent. So
Well, remember, I messaged you and I said, you know, that seems remarkably quick. You know, is
yeah,
that usual to be that quick? Um,
yeah,
and one of the thoughts was that they didn't want the circuit, the Court of Appeals, to make a quick decision on remanding it back. They wanted to have their say, so that's why they responded quickly.
oh
So
yeah,
you know,
that might be the reason.
so that they did extend it further. You know.
Yeah,
Um, Anyway, as I say, I'm not going to keep you much longer. The weather looks beautiful over there in Holland.
yeah, it's beautiful. You're just going to walk that bridge in a bit and walk
Yeah.
the island.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this dog's going to get his big walk later on today, but
Oh, good.
I was in no fit state to do any long walks yesterday at all. I was.
No, I can imagine that.
Yeah,
It was a long one. It was a very good one, and yeah,
yeah.
really appreciate you doing that.
Oh, not at all. It's as I said to Mark, you know, it's not like it's work. It's a pleasure doing it, and it's very easy when you're dealing with so many great people that, you know, they're just so helpful. You know, all, right across the board. You know, you can get in touch with people, and they're you know, that they're wanting to help. That they want to do whatever they can to, you know,
Yeah,
keep talking till they're walking. You know, it was very easy to put together. Um,
yeah. I like the work also from the mods helping out. You know, from okay, now go to this channel and go to that. That's really like remarkable. Everybody wants to make this an oiled machine, so to say. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's partly, of course, it's the benefit of, you know, when we did the first marathon, the very first one, that there was myself, the dude, Tracy, and Ali. So we didn't have a clue what we were letting ourselves in for. You know, we just didn't know that it was going to be a really good event. But you know, having done that, and then the next again year, and having done the, you know, the virtual rally, the online rally, and then there was that Diane and Jane organized a you know, an event. I think
yeah,
that was something like an event where we had like a 3 hour slot and a gap and a three, you know, and again, it was over the course of a day. You know, it brings that confidence that, you know, we know what we've done it before. We know
yeah, yeah.
that people are going to enjoy it, you know, and you know, yeah, it helps when
Definitely.
you get some high profile, you know, sort of guests.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
but I mean, you know, it was, I'll be honest, it was one of the commentators, Disco Pervert, that got in touch with me and said, look, could we have a dream team of Magilla, Fleetside, Joriz, Big Jeff? Have I missed it? There was 5 altogether, wasn't there? There was you. I keep forgetting this. Let's have a
Yeah,
look.
it was Fleetside, Millbilly, Big Jeff,
Magilla and yourself.
Magilla. I mean, yeah,
Yes,
that's
yeah.
it.
The dream team. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
people used to call me and the dude and Mark and Stacy the Fab Four, but you are the dream team. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the murder nerdy squad. That's what Disco says. I like Disco. Yeah. It's murder nerdy friends we are.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for your time, Joriz. Much appreciated. And
Yeah, thanks
I
for
look
having me.
forward to doing a few more. And hopefully we can get a few more chats with McGilla and Big Jeff and Fleetside and Millbilly in the
Yep.
future. That would be great. How did it go on Sunday in that group chat? You know?
Oh, it was quite interesting. I've never met Fleetside, and
Yeah.
I thought it was, well, we go in for free format, like,
Yeah.
not like Magilla and its tweets and presentation and all that. I was like, okay, well, that's good. So it was really like sort of political go in that way,
Yeah.
It's very interesting talking about analysis. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
a
I
whole
just,
different ballgame.
as you know, I do like a drink, and I love it. When you're in a bar and you're chatting with interesting people to chat with, and that
Yeah.
whole dynamic of people can relax a bit, and just talk about things that interest them, and to do with the case. I just love that kind of chat. It's the sort of thing. Obviously, when we were in Australia for 5 days, the main topic of conversation was always always about the case and the presentations that we went to see. Mind you, I must admit, then towards the end we did laugh, particularly me and Mark, at the dude and Stacey nearly getting arrested for putting the banner up. that was so funny. Anyway, yes, I better dash. Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you again very, very soon.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.